So as I've been getting more into my New Balances, I've been kind of exploring the 990 line, and so I managed to pick up this pair for, I think it was £60, because I was on the lookout for the V5s. I've never had the pair, and since I had like the V4s, the V5s, V6s and the V3s and the V2s, it was only make sense to kind of go with the V5. And the only one that I haven't kind of worn at the moment is the V1s, which I probably will try and pick up if I can pick them up at a good price. These are the navy silver colorways of the 990 V5. And they were originally released in 2019, which is before the 990 V6 obviously. And it's made as a lifestyle sneaker, and it's part of the 990 lineage. So with the details, it comes in a navy and silver colorway. So the navy is pretty much all in the upper, almost going towards black, especially under the light. But it is pretty much navy overall, even the suede. But yeah, and then you've got the silver hits around the midsole and the back of the heel clip. And this has what they're calling a dual density foam in there, and it's basically good support for your heel and the back of your foot. So you can sort of see that here. It's got this Encap type midsole, and that kind of provides the lightweight cushioning, but also you've got like polyurethane in there as well, and it just gives you that, like I said, that impact protection, but also the cushioning as well, and kind of that sort of softy, slight sort of squishy feel. And this is what they're calling a blown rubber outsole, but it's made of endurance, which is New Balance's technology, and it's supposed to be a bit more hard wearing. Take that with a pinch of salt, in all honesty. I don't find too much difference with those, in my opinion. And this has leather and suede materials, and they feel pretty good quality. They're quite sort of brushy. Not the most best materials that I've seen on a New Balance sneaker, but still nice. So you can sort of see the brushy effect going on. But yeah, overall, you know, similar sort of construction to any other New Balance sneaker really. And the price for these originally were £210. So with the comfort and sizing, these are on the medium side in my opinion. And what I will say, they feel quite sort of cushiony and quite sort of spongy, and a bit sort of squishy as well, which is a nice feeling. And they do sort of feel, I suppose, slightly better than a 990 V4 in that sense. However, for some reason I still prefer the 990 V4 in terms of their comfort, because they just feel a bit more relaxed, is probably the word. These ones have a bit more, I guess, probably a bit too much cushiony feel, in my opinion. And sometimes, you know, if you're a fan of that, then you'll probably like these. And it's kind of going more towards the V6, where they have that sort of more dynamic feel to it. And then it also has this, what they're calling ultra soft ortholite insole, and this provides a bit of the more sort of spongy effect going on. It doesn't feel that thick, but New Balance did a good job of, like, you know, having nice sort of contoured insoles for each of their sneakers, and this one's no different. But you know, it feels nice on foot. Like I said, a bit more dynamic than a 990 V4. I kind of like that sort of neutral stance of a 990 V4, and that's probably my favourite New Balance 990 sneaker, I suppose, in terms of comfort. But this one's quite close to that, but not exactly the same. And like I said, it has got neutral arch support and heel support, but you can sort of see that in here it does have a bit of support for your arch, but overall it's quite sort of neutral. It's not like protruding in any way. And I do sort of think that true to size would probably work. I think, you know, it depends on your US size. So I went with a UK 7, which is a US 7.5, and to be honest, they're a bit snug around the 4-foot area here. But I do find, like with New Balance sneakers, they sort of break in quite easily, and the mesh becomes a lot more easy to wear, and they loosen up quite a lot. So I'm going to give that a try and see how I get on. But you know, I paid £60 for them, so even if I don't get on with them, I can still sort of sell them on for pretty much the same price. And I'd say there's no wear in time with these. They're pretty good to go out of the box. Like I mentioned earlier, just in terms of the sizing, yeah, I do recommend going up half size in these. But if you're in the US, then probably just go true to size, because the sizing conversion is slightly different. And the traction is really good on these, much like any other 990 trainer really. Nothing to shout about, but it works well, and I've never had any stability issues, and it's quite sort of flat shaped as well, so it's quite sort of low to the ground. So with the look and style, I do like the dark colourway, and normally I don't go for these types of sneakers, but this one I think, you know, it's cool. It's quite sort of understated. And it's a good sort of spring, autumn, summertime sneaker. You know, it's quite sort of versatile. You know, I find New Balance sneakers to be good for sort of smart wear, but you can also wear them casual wear, and I think they work really, really well, especially nowadays. They come with a pair of navy laces, which I think is perfect for this. So with the final thoughts, I like the dark colourway overall, and you know, for the price I paid, I'm happy with them. And they've got nice materials as well, so overall it feels nice. And the comfort, like I said, it's nice on foot. It gives you that sort of more dynamic-y type feel, and overall, you know, the construction is really nice as well. So with the cons, I think obviously the cost at £210, it's a lot of money for this type of sneaker. It's a runner at the end of the day, and it's not doing anything too dramatical compared to, say, a Vomero 5, and I don't think it's worth the extra sort of £60-70 that you're paying, but it's more for the materials. But even with that, I always find that a bit of a misnomer, because I don't know about everyone else, but I tend to find that my outsole wears out quicker than the upper, and the upper still looks great because I tend to look after my sneakers, but the bottom tends to sort of wear out really quickly. So I end up with this sneaker that looks fine on the upper, and then, you know, the outsole's like really worn out, so, and so then gets difficult to wear. So with the ratings, I'm going to give the look and style a 4. I think overall it's a cool looking sneaker, but I think there's probably better colourways of this, if I'm honest, but I don't fancy paying sort of £200-250. And same with the comfort, I'm going to go with a 5. I think the comfort isn't really nice overall. Like I said, it gives you that more dynamic, slightly more sort of in between sort of the 990 V4 and the V6. And the quality, I'll go with a 5. I think, you know, New Balance never fail with their quality. And same for the pricing, I'm going to go with a 4. I think overall it's you know, a good piece of footwear, but it's just a price too high, just with all like New Balance sneakers. And that's why overall I'm going to give the score a 4. I think this particular one in this colourway isn't wowing me, but at the same time I feel like the 990 V5 is a cool sneaker, and, you know, nice to sort of have on foot and sort of wear day in day out, you know, for lifestyle wear really.